2023 to the Busoga Royal Wedding, and of course looking at Uma's welcoming the Chinese delegation to assessing the fintech landscape. That and more is what you should anticipate on today's show, Business Today. And of course, I'm your show host, Rona Nahabwe, and I'm joined by Samra Hanifa. I'm going to be bringing you all the gist that you need to know in the world of business. Hanifa, how was your weekend?
It was fine. It was full of the wedding, the royal wedding pictures everywhere on social media.
How was it?
So it was great. It was great. Yeah, it was the most organized royal function I've witnessed in my time. Yes.
You know, of course, the last royal wedding, last Busoga royal wedding happened in 1956, and of course, this same royal wedding hosted over 2,000 guests. It was, it was marvelous.
Yeah.
It had most of us invested, and of course, in line with that, and speaking about that royal wedding, let's look at President's support to kingdoms. Now, President Yoweri Museveni instructed Parliament to allocate 60 million shillings monthly to recognized cultural institutions. The directive was emphasized during the wedding reception of the Chalazinga William Gavula Nadioke IV, together with Her Royal Highness Jovia Mutesi at Iganga Palace in Jinja City. Speaking at the Busoga Royal Wedding, the Deputy Speaker pledged Parliament's commitment to implementing President's directive, ensuring financial support for each kingdom, as this move aims to assist cultural institutions in their smooth operations. I would like us to look at this clip and then we're gonna come back.
We ordered that every month, at least the king and the kingdom should get the kingdom. We ordered that we should build them fast. The kingdom has done its part. Now we, because when the president directs, it's like the high voltage line. For us are down, we are supposed to take it down and distribute it quickly. So, Honorable colleagues, let's work out with the first deputy president here, which will ensure that we do the done. I promise on behalf of members of Parliament that we can ensure the president's directive is implemented. Congratulations once again.
Yeah, so of course those are images from the Busoga Royal wedding that happened on Saturday at their palace in Igenge in Jinja district, in Jinja city, that is to say. And of course for us, our highlight as a business TV is a 60 million that was emphasized by the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Thomas Tayewa, as he pledged Parliament's commitment to going back to the drawing board and issuing and ensuring that these kingdoms actually do receive this 60 million per month. But is the 60 million enough?
60 million, I don't think it is enough. I actually thought the kingdoms were receiving, they have a budget.
Yeah.
They have a part, like, they get a certain percentage from the budget from government every financial year. So when this directive came, I was like, what about this budget they have been receiving as kingdoms? Because they receive, they have government facilitates them, those royal, some of the security, the cars, it is from government. So I thought that was part of the budget. So when this I need to go deeper into this. So I don't know, I actually don't know, because I thought they were receiving part of the budget.
But
from government.
If they were to receive anyway the 60 million, but of course they budget, but some of the funds are actually not. They are prioritized. Some of the projects are prioritized. Perhaps funding the kingdoms is not one of them. But if we are to look at the 60 million and it being enough, holistically looking at the Busoga region, what are the economic activities? What do they venture in mostly? I asked that question and someone told me the biggest is sugarcane.
Sugarcane, yeah.
But most of it is privately owned. We all know the companies that trade in that business, they are private, And then, so maybe if we are to look at it in the aspect of the employment opportunities that would be coming in. But then my friend also just gave me an insight of how many, bans or fire outbreaks do we listen from these sugarcane factories. Perhaps the employees are not happy. So if we are to look at the sugarcane that is privately owned, what else can we look at as Busoga as a region in regards to economic, in economic stance and what they hold dear to themselves that would, give them monies here and there?
Yeah, they grow rice. I've seen rice in Busoga. Busoga is one of the most fertile the places, the lands we have here in Uganda. They grow rice, they grow sugarcane, they grow sweet potatoes, so many farming there. As long as the people are facilitated to carry out this farming well, they can get themselves out of poverty, because we understand the eastern region is one of the most poorest, impoverished part of the country. And I saw on social media people saying part of this money that has been collected should be ventured into something that is going to benefit the people of Busoga, because the most part of Busoga is impoverished.
Yes, and I think also an approach like taking the stance of the administration of the kingdom and giving them roles in the region. I mean, they're not just titles of king and queen, but actually going deeper, because everyone knows. We see stories. Busoga region is the poorest, the reason this and this. And they even made, a publication in regards to what the president said in 2022, where he seemed surprised that he was walking into some of the outskirts of the region, and he was surprised at the levels of poverty that were exhibited.
Yeah.
So first, just looking at the administration of the kingdom and making sure that the titles do not just be king and queen, but they actually reach to strengthening the kingdom.
Yeah.
But of course, more in business today, and of course moving on, like I mentioned, we have insights from the Renewable Energy Expo and exhibition that happened last week. And of course, I would like to also bring you up to speed that the need for a just and inclusive energy transition, which to many stakeholders the change ought to be approached carefully, has attracted definitive proposals in the face of persistent geopolitical contest. So according to Siatini, Africa is bound to be a sandwich in the shift unless inclusivity or structural concerns as well as the industrial dynamics are put into consideration. Let's have a look at this report.
During the recent plenary session, Speaker Anita Monk urged the leadership of the Kampala Capital City Authority (KCCA) to address the repair of all roads and potholes throughout the city, rather than focusing solely on the rehabilitation of those, specifically facilitating the movement of dignitaries attending the non-aligned movement conference. Some legislators have expressed concerns, stating that KCCA's current actions are causing unnecessary traffic in the city, especially given their awareness of the upcoming conference for quite some time. They find it unfortunate that the road works are being undertaken only now, just a month before the conference is scheduled to take place.
Confirm that there must be fatigue in government, because the fashion at which they are doing things leaves a lot to be desired, and it's an embarrassment to all of us who make decisions in government. For us, for example, as Parliament, who appropriate money and follow up through oversight, we should not be saved out of this fashion of and style of doing things. One, that we have a plan. We have been talking about these upcoming conferences for almost 2 years, and they are almost, actually, according to official documents, this like NAM, we were told it was December 2023. Although now they are saying it's January, but January is the same as December. When you look at the readiness of the roads and also the conference facilities, it seems we have just woken up to the news of this conference, and this is something.
We see them working as if they didn't know their job, and all this is because they are preparing for the non-aligned movement meeting coming in January, and that's 1 month away. I think KCCA should get firm on their job to wake up and say, okay, here we are, let's push through the works hurriedly, it is not sustainable. It is not sustainable. And you wouldn't be surprised that by come January, some of these works will not be complete. In some places you will even find that they are doing shoulder work in order to beat the line. So
the woman member of parliament presenting Wakiso district has requested the city authority to also take into consideration the roads in Wakiso district. This request stems from the fact that these roads connect to the routes leading to the conference venue.
And welcome the program of ensuring that the Kampala network is really improved. That's a very good step. But there is no way you can access Kampala minus stepping on Wakiso land. We wish and we are praying that Wakiso network is currently considered in the ongoing program. There is no way you reach Kampala, and in Uganda we don't have those internal planes that they will quickly get people from the airport and ensure that they are at the site at the conference space. No way. So we ask that let all the network that joins and that is getting to the conference venue be taken on and be fully completed. We are looking forward to seeing that Wakiso roads are handled because they are the access to the Kampala, the center.
Due to the current road maintenance activities, certain roads have been temporarily closed to facilitate the smooth progress of the works. According to Honorable Nyangweso, this has resulted in significant traffic congestion in the city, creating difficulties for Ugandans to reach their workplaces punctually.
Because we knew that at this time of the year we shall have heavy rainfalls, and they have affected us terribly. Lastly, when you look at the quality of life of people living in Kampala right now, it is miserable, because we are spending almost 5 hours coming to work and 5 hours going back to work because of this closure of roads, too much jam. This is affecting people's work, is affecting people's lifestyle. It is adding on the stress of Uganda, the stress of what Ugandans have already with the biting economy.
Apologies for that inconvenience. I meant to call that very story of the KCCA roads project that is being bashed, and because of course, just like Hanifa and your story, just just implicates that the fact that all this is happening in the rainy season, so you cannot expect so much progress. I mean, something that would have taken a week is going to take 3 or even more. And recently, the president, over the weekend, together with the first daughter, that is Natasha, they toured various roads. They even went up to Munyonyo in regards to the preparation of the NAM summit that is set to be held in January next year. So I mean, President just toured and he engaged with commuters and the community, and many people just expressed frustration of how much they are losing in regards to these roads. I mean, you even see people in the morning just ranting on Twitter and the like, talking about the traffic that is being caused. For instance, the road that leads to Ruzila. Yeah. That's where I come from. That's why you have to use Nakawa, and something that would take you 45 minutes, that is 2 hours max.
Exactly.
So that is productive. Those are productive hours all gone. That is productivity all gone, washed away.
People spend all their working hours in the traffic, in the jam, in their cars. They don't know whether to leave, to abandon their cars there or then and get on border borders. It is a rainy season. It is very inconveniencing. And the legislators, their concern is, why are they doing it now? They knew about NAM 2 years back. And they were supposed to work on these roads. Actually, why would you even work on the potholes? Because we have visitors coming in. Should have worked on these potholes long time ago, because Ugandans have been on social media crying out loud these potholes. I remember in is it July or before even we got to this month, potholes are everywhere. Let's start working on them. Why are you doing it now when you know the rains are heavy? And it rains almost every day.
Day and night, I mean.
Day and night. And the other thing, what kind of work are you going to do when it is raining? Of course, it's going to be shoddy. Tomorrow the rains, the water is going to just wash away what you're...
Ironically speaking, Recently, the Kampala Capital City Authority received an award of being the best something, and I saw the ED receiving the award and was very happy. And all this is happening at, Ugandans are really not happy in regards to the projects, and it is very hard to defend, especially in regards to comparison to our neighbors. Because this is happening in the capital city. If it is something like in the village where people might not reach, it would be defendable. But now it's in the capital city, and of course, my argument is all this is happening during the rainy season. The rainy season. The impact might be nothing or close to nothing.
And January is not far. January is not far. We just one month
but
away.
Maybe to commend the government and Munyonyo in administration, at least the project at Munyonyo and whatever they are trying to construct there is moving on steadily. At least in a week's time, you just see some development that is in regards to, that infrastructure they are putting up for the NAM summit. But how long? I mean, we only have 1 month.
We only, exactly. Someone argued that with only 1 month remaining, and the conference has to be there, because if the conference is done, they have to certify it that it is proper, because it has to be investigated. Is it going to be good? To won't cause any problems to our visitors, to people? But NAM is next is in January. January is almost next month. When you're in December, you're almost in January already. So you're like, will it really be done by then? And won't it compromise the lives of...
And being honest, something that is rushed on the project. Anyway, depends on the kind of expertise that is put on the project. But we also need to be mindful of the safety of Ugandans, especially with the roads and the infrastructure. We wouldn't want to have accidents just because we are rushing to host a summit. But at least maybe the good news and hope from the president, his visit to the roads and of course the Munyonyo infrastructure that is set to host the NAM summit were good news, and it's positive feedback. I mean, he's hopeful that by that time everything will be at par, and Ugandans should expect a better, infrastructure and a transport system, according to him.
Yeah, according to him. But I pray if the building does not meet the standards, they shouldn't risk the lives of our visitors, because that would be, if anything happens, it would be a shame to the country. We rather bring them into the city. We bring them to Serena and whatever these other conferences.
Now, if you bring them to the city, that's worse, because that's where most potholes are. You'd rather keep them that side of the airport where they cannot see.
They cannot
so much, But moving on, and let's now look at the renewable energy conference that happened just last week, and look at the CEO's contributions in regards to this conference. The need for a just and inclusive energy transition, which to many stakeholders, the change ought to be approached carefully, has attracted definitive proposals in the face of geopolitical contest. According to Siatini, Africa is bound to be a sandwich in which the shift, unless inclusivity, structural concerns, and industrial dynamics are put into consideration. Let's have a look at this report.
At the end of the third Renewable Energy Conference, whose focus was set on a clean energy transition, the need for an inclusive multi-sector shift has been emphasized. With the existence of critical and strategic minerals in Africa that are key to the shift, and where Africa's reputation is synonymous with net importation, the Southern and Eastern Africa Trade Information and Negotiations Institute has maintained the need for import substitution and protection from the growing geopolitical contest that would undermine Africa's energy journey.
If we are not careful as Africa, we are going to continue exporting those raw commodities, because we already in that system, because we are not adding value. We have minimal industrialization. We are exporting raw materials. So we are just going to add on more copper, more cobalt, more lithium. That's why we are saying that we need to be careful to look at how the energy transition can help us to industrialize, to add value, or else we are going to continue exporting raw materials. And when we export raw materials, the president usually talks about it. We're exporting what? We're exporting jobs, you know?
Africa's inefficiencies across the industry, services, among other sectors, has been a prime cause for a bigger market to the international community, attracting major international pools such as China's Road and Belt Initiative, plus affiliate provisions. The Natural Resource Governance Institute has in turn highlighted how regional confederations will aid a just transition.
See, recently, DR Congo has partnered with Zambia to try and claw back the power of China by saying they want to try and add value to cobalt to produce batteries. So we're going to find that regional countries, regional integration is going to be more important now if we want to add value, as Jenna said. If we want to add value to our minerals, we'll need regional configurations. We already have EAC, and we are lucky that DRC and Sudan have joined. So we are stronger in terms of trying to create economies of scale.
Meanwhile, despite efforts by the Ministry of Energy, UECCC, and the Rural Electrification Agency, for instance, plus off-grid energy investments, access has been compounded in shortfalls to affordable and reliable supply that have limited broad utilization of the energy portfolio at hand.
To northern Uganda, a lot of the farmers there, the shea farmers, struggle to add value to their shea butter because of the fact that the electricity there is not reliable. There are instances where electricity will go off for 4 days and their shea butter will go to waste. And so it's critical for us to, and we've learned also from the privatization of UEB that actually private sector does not necessarily work, because when you think about at the point when it was UEB, one of the challenges that we had was reliability. But today we face both reliability challenges, but also affordability challenges. And so I think
while the Global North's agenda and intent for transition largely relates with the need to cut its pollution load, Africa's burden primarily reflects need for addressing economic inefficiencies as much as clean energy demands stand.
That is part of the many conversations that were held under the Renewable Energy Conference that happened just last week. Many more sessions, of course, we're going to be bringing you that, and very many more sessions. But of course, that one was just targeting inclusive energy transition. And of course, we all know Africa's just and inclusive energy transition has been under debate for many times. I mean, sessions are held, discussions are made, conferences are held in regards to this very thing, because we know how much climate change and its effects are deepening, especially in the communities where help cannot be reached. I mean, it is even coming in the urban, and peri-urban areas. We know how much, the consequence is being felt, and sooner or later we might not be under control. There is a reason why these conversations keep on coming. Maybe just give you a glimpse and an insight to regards to that story. CSOs and CIATINI, to be specific, were calling for an inclusive energy transition. An energy transition that inhibits other sectors, including trade, because that is the only way it will be just and justifiable, maybe for a better word. So let's just not transition. And are we even transitioning, or we're integrating? That is also another discussion altogether, like we were having last week. So let's just use all these energy sources that we have. I mean, we have diverse. Although the biggest, energy that we consume is hydro, especially for electricity, is hydro, and then thermal, and then we have come up with solar. We have seen biogas, and then LPG as we anticipate our oil come 2025. But let's just incorporate all these energy types, or if I could call them that, energy mitigation, all these energy sources that we have, and then we move with them and we incorporate them in our everyday activities in the sectors that are paramount, that are pertinent to the growth of the country, particularly trade. We already know how many people would want to invest. We recently got investors for the nuclear energy. Some are even still more coming. We have heard about the lithium batteries and how the president is really very passionate about that. But inclusive energy transition, otherwise we will not have anything to defend us if it is not just, if it is not felt in the communities, if it is not energy that is serving to the underserved.
Exactly, and should be affordable to all. Not all Ugandans at this particular moment can transition from these
especially biomass and
exactly, and to renewable energy. There's a part of Uganda that doesn't have electricity.
The current uptake of electricity right now is at 22.1%.
Exactly.
The goal, of course, with funding from World Bank under the Electricity Access Project by Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development is to attain at least 80% by 2030, or close to 100, you know. But statistics inform us that the current is at 22.1%. It is bad. I mean,
it is bad. It is slow, and
the biggest hindrance to that, or the reason why we have such a low uptake, is the infrastructure is expensive, and to top that all, on top of that all, Ugandans are still, you know, dismantling this infrastructure, the transmission lines that can take even about billions to put back.
It is so sad. It is so sad that way, because Ugandans need electricity. We as a country produce a lot of electricity, which we even sell to our neighbors.
Yes.
It's so absurd that our own people do not have electricity because due to reasons. Because we ourselves are the ones sabotaging this whole thing.
The people about the theory that most people do not understand about electricity is that we have abundance.
Yeah,
it's in abundance. Everyone knows that. But, excuse me, electricity is consumed as it is produced. Otherwise, it would be a waste.
Yeah.
There is no reason as to why you should put up an infrastructure if you're not going to consume the electricity. So if you put up the infrastructure and it is precisely for trade, to trade with DRC, I mean, it's one of the countries that we have traded with, Rwanda, Kenya, and the like, especially when with the East African Power Pool coming on board, then all that money that is going to be collected or fished from the investments will be now used to construct these transmission lines, which Ugandans, by the way, continue dismantling, and it is sad.
It is so sad
for the Ministry of Energy.
And when you talk about solar, is not all Ugandans can afford solar. Solar is expensive.
Now that is the energy that is reached, that is taken to rural areas. I've gone to Burisa and I've reached to the poorest of the poorest villages. Yeah. And the biggest, almost all of them use solar, and it is evident why. But even then they tell you why they do not charging it. You can't charge. There are lots of inconveniences. Yeah, so, and then there are conversations of thermal energy. But we already know we do not have enough capacity to build that. Nuclear energy, at least there is good news in that aspect. We have investors on board, and very soon they should be able to announce something in that regard. Now let's talk about the electricity that has actually been, the energy source that has reached the villages, which is solar. Can we make that more accessible?
Yeah, please? More accessible and more affordable.
Yes.
Those solar, what are they called? The ones that
solar panels.
Those solar panels in the villages, they only use for lighting. You cannot watch. You cannot watch TV on that panel. They are very, and you cannot charge. You can't. I don't know. The light is always dim. I've seen them. The light is not enough. So when we talk about renewable energy, it should be inclusive. We shouldn't leave anyone behind.
Yes,
and it should be affordable.
The aspect of incorporating other sectors in the economy. But that very story will now take us into a short break. We still have more in store. Please stay with us.
Smart 24, driving business.
This holiday season, we wish you the freedom to enjoy all your football. We wish you fun and lots of Ugandan entertainment. wish you a good time together. So turn up the volume on your favorite show and be merry all day long. We wish you laughter everywhere in the home. We wish you and your loved ones a very DSTV holiday. Stay connected to DSTV family at only 64,000 shillings and light up your festive season. DSTV Uganda. It's your moment.
Jovia. Ng'oyolekera ku lugendo luno olw'obulamu. Nkuwa ekirabo eky'amaanyi agatazizibwa. Amaanyi okulabibwa n'okuwulirwa mu mawanga ageewala ennyo. Okutuuka buli wamu nga yadde togenzeeyo. Ensi yonna ng'ekuli mu ngalo. Okutambula mu biseera n'okumanya buli kimu ekirina okumanyibwa. Jovia, kino kye kirabo kyange gy'oli.
Tewali kumu ku ki ky'osobola okukola ku mukutu nnandameggwa ogwa MTN.
And stay connected to GOTV. Choose your package from as low as 15,000 shillings and enjoy entertainment for the whole family. Tweyagale fetuina content. GOTV Uganda, love it.
My name is Kaheru Bright Bernard, a sales and marketing consultant with Bukona Agro Processors. Bukona Agro Processors is a local manufacturer of green energy, specifically ethanol for clean cooking. The factory was established in 2013. Factory work started by 2019, and by 2020 we got support from government through Uganda Development Corporation to manufacture, further improve our production, manufacture stoves that would be used, that would use ethanol for clean cooking. So with that fuel, we're producing fuel, green fuel, with the bio stoves for clean cooking. And we are in a partnership with GLU Diocese that has about 9,000 local farmers producing cassava, which is a bio, which is a raw material for production of ethanol. And we also use maize and grain, specifically sorghum, for production of the fuel. And currently we are exporting to Kenya. We have a partnership with Vivo Energy that supplies Cocoa Networks, a distributor of clean cooking solutions within Nairobi, Kisumu, Nakuru, and other parts of Kenya. We're also distributing within the local market in Uganda, but with, of course, the production of biostoves, we hope we shall also improve our distribution network within Uganda to develop the culture of clean cooking using ethanol made from cassava that is locally produced here. And we hope that is going to support sustainable development goals, specifically SDG 13, 7, and 3, since our effort is to reduce the use of charcoal that has seen a lot of forests cut down, that has seen a lot of Mother Nature being lost, and most importantly, carbon emissions that are being emitted into the sky, causing a lot of green energy issues here and there. So we hope with as we scale up further with support from government, specifically Uganda Development Corporation, we shall be in position to achieve these objectives, develop that culture of clean cooking, and have people consume more of that food. And within our community, we have really had a lot of impact, created a lot of jobs for the local farmers, about 9,000 farmers under the Archdiocese of Gulu Catholic Church. And of course, the local people within Nyoya, within Gulu, and the surrounding areas have gotten employment. We're employing close to 200 people on a daily basis as temporary and permanent staff. And that has really had a lot of impact. And we are hopeful that as we scale up this production process within the local industry, energy specifically, the energy sector, we shall change lives and we shall improve how we consume, how we cook, how we ensure we are consuming our environment through effective, clean, and healthy cooking solutions.
Smart 24, driving business.
You're still watching Business Sudan. If you just joined us, you're in for the second half of this bit. And maybe let me just bring you up to speed to Uganda Manufacturers Association's meeting together with the Chinese delegation that was held on Friday, just last week, that focused on key potential areas of cooperation and partnership in the manufacturing sector. Of course, the meeting formed a mutual commitment to deepening economic cooperation with a focus on leveraging each country's strength to foster growth, particularly in areas of manufacturing, energy, and agriculture. Honorable Francis Mwebesa, the Minister for Trade, was present, and he kind of defended the Ugandan investment portfolio. Let's have a look.
By pooling our sources and expertise, particularly in sectors such as agriculture and technology and manufacturing.
为尤其是农业和制造业方面提供技能、技术。
We can look on innovative solutions that transcend borders.
因为创新和发展是超越国界的。
China's technological prowess, combined with Uganda's abundant agricultural resources, presents an opportunity for symbiotic relationship that can redefine the landscape of global commerce.
我的领导人呢，目前把两国这个关系定位于建立了全面的合作伙伴关系。
Last year was the 60th anniversary of the China-Uganda diplomatic relations, and the two heads of states have agreed to level it up to the comprehensive cooperation partnership.
Well, that report or that meeting kind of hinged on mutual commitment of both countries as they pledged to invest, to have trade relations. And of course, one of the key issues that was highlighted was addressing concerns related to tariffs, addressing concerns with regards to market access and taxes, of course, because to enhance trade, all these topics are pertinent in enhancing trade and the relationships between the countries. That is a Chinese delegation that was with Uganda Manufacturers Association, and that association comes from all Chinese Federation for Africa. But maybe the biggest takeaway from this is we are known as the biggest trade relation that Chinese has with Uganda. We are the third in Africa, the biggest in regards to trade. Our relations with China have been ranked the third in Africa, precisely. So UMA hosting this delegation from China just brings us to what we need to do most in regards to trade. Honorable Francis Mwebesa talked about issues of agriculture and of course investing in key issues that of course that are talked, like recently talked about the energy sources, thermal, nuclear energy and solar, and then they also talked about the manufacturing sector that is kind of vibrant. Like we also know that recently the report from Minister of Finance said that Ugandans have been borrowing more to manufacture or to start up enterprises. So our manufacturing sector is vibrant, and at least that was attested to during the UMA International Trade Fair that was held recently, I think a couple of months back. So trade, manufacturing, agriculture, and energy sources were the sectors that were championed or put to the table for possible negotiations, and the Minister of Trade was very deliberate about key market access, tariffs, and other trade policies that would hinder trade. What do you think, Annie?
Yeah, it is a great initiative. Ugandans when you go downtown, most of the products you see in the shops everywhere, they do come from China, and I like that they are gotten at an affordable price compared to these other nations when you see. But me, the only issue I have with these investors, especially Chinese, the Ugandans who work in those factories where they have so many factories here in Uganda, and the money they get, the Ugandans, that's why we still need the law, the minimum wage bill. We need it immediately, because these investors are taking advantage of the fact that we do not have that law in place. They cheat Ugandans in the process. Ugandans
it is an open space to operate. Anyone can do what they want. Precisely.
It is not such a great thing. Ugandans getting 5,000, is it 2,000 a day? What is that money going to do? With the economy now, with the inflation now in the country, 5,000 can only cater for transport. With I do not have any issue with them. They are very hardworking people, and they have come here and established some factories. But the money they are paying as pay, what they are paying to Ugandans is really not enough. It is not enough. They need to add on. We need the minimum wage bill for Ugandans.
So of course, as we await on that, we need to note, of course, key to note is that All China Federation of Industry and Commerce has redefined that, of course, with China's abundant and scaled up technology combined with Uganda's agricultural resources, presents an opportunity for the global commerce to grow and for both parties of both countries to highly benefit. Of course, this delegation, the Chinese delegation, was led by Mr. Zhu Lenzheng, the executive chairman of the All China Federation of Industry and Commerce. And we are hoping that very soon we should be looking at an MOU, because if there is no agreement, there is no meeting. I mean, there's no fruits. The fruits of labor are not seen. So we are hoping that together, Uganda Manufacturers Association finally, signs an MOU with the All China Federation of Industry and Commerce, so that we can see all these topics or all these promises that were made at this very meeting. We see them to light, and Ugandans can actually benefit, because at the end of the day, we anticipate that the countries are the ones to benefit the most if MOUs are signed in regards to global commerce and business trade.
But
moving on, I would like us to turn our focus to the fintech landscape, and in this regard look at the insights. Now, Uganda's financial landscape has undergone a digital revolution, witnessing a tenfold, and a tenfold I mean 10 times or numerous. It has come back 10 times even better. In the bank accounts from 3.5 million to over 20 million within a decade. This transformative leap, discussed at the 2023 Digital and Financial Inclusion Summit, not only signifies the nation's strides in digital inclusion, but also aligns with Uganda's Vision 2040 of ushering a modern and prosperous Uganda. Let's have a look at this story.
One of the areas to appreciate why
the challenges we face with certification processes as farmers is the cost of registration, the cost of certification for Global Gap. Being peasants and earning less money as farmers, it's a bit hard, especially with individual or even groups, because you may find it's expensive, so that groups can really not afford to bring these people, the trainers, the certifiers. But we believe with such trainings and opportunities that HotFresh is bringing, we will be able to attain the certificates. Then the markets for our fruits and vegetables will heighten.
Certification options, like we have attended the training and we've been told about option 1, option 2. There are option 2 where the farmer groups get certified as a group. Then under option 1, you either are certified as an individual or get certified as a company. So they all range between 3,000 to 5,000 USDs, but that could be affordable. That could be affordable. We can always try to access that funds, but the foundational establishments are expensive. Then the annual subscriptions. Most of these certifications could be above 6,000 just to have them, to have your certificates valid every year, because you have to keep inviting auditors to come and verify whether you are still having a good management, good practice.
What has been hindering and is still a hindrance to accessing European markets, the European market requires quality fruits and vegetables, free from the chemical residues and, of course, free from any harmful organisms. So as farmers, having received these trainings in Global Gap, we promise to go and implement, follow up with a process with the hope of HotFresh and its partners to really make sure we can be able to tap in this market that is already demanding.
Certification has been in the range of $10,000 to $20,000 because we would get auditors from outside to come here. It would be very expensive. Now, control union will not cost more than 5,000, depending. So when you compare 10 to 50,000 and maybe 5,000 to 6,000, $7,000, it is quite a big margin. And control union is stationed here in Uganda. It has an office in Uganda, so the services will be easy to be offered.
One of the requirements is on pesticide residues. There is a maximum level that is allowed in the market, and every producer should strive to.
We apologize for that inconvenience. That is a story that is in regards to the certification partnership boost that is coming in from HotFresh together with a body that is Control Union that has partnered with them to enhance on certification process. HotFresh, they deal in export of fresh fruits and vegetables, and we all know we are a land that is diverse in that aspect and that presents a big, trade opportunity and investment opportunity for Ugandans, especially since we are an agricultural, country. So it should be noted that the certification process that would cost them about 21,000 or even more is now costing them relatively from 3,000 to 5,000 US dollars to be specific. So these farmers undergo a certain training where they need to know what the European Union, wherever they export their produce to, needs, especially with the challenges that are on the market. They are really passionate about the standards on the market. They do not want any residues, and in this aspect, residues, I mean the herbicides. Any trace of that, you would lose, tons and tons of money coupled with your produce. So basically, HortiFresh, together with Control Union, a Dutch-based agency, they have partnered up to expand the certification process that usually requires farmers to get the Global Gap certification, and all this has been happening due to a lack of local certification bodies, high certification costs, and limited awareness of the market benefits. So, I mean, farmers that are under this body are privileged to be having this, training to access this market, because the goal is to export more and more. I mean, just like the ministers and the president usually highlight in the speeches, Yeah. So we anticipate that with this partnership, more and more farmers will be able to export to the Gulf, to the European Union, and our fresh fruits and vegetables will actually earn not just a penny, but quite handsomely for the farmers that have invested in, because I mean, it is only good to reap from your produce. But moving on, and I think as we head towards the end, and if I believe we do have a story for us from UCC, and I would like to know what's up with it now.
Yeah, this week the Uganda Communications Commission is playing host to delegates from both within the outside Africa for the Regional Cyber Security Summit and the African Regional Meeting of Study Groups 17. The primary objective of this summit is to equip member states with technological solutions that empower them in addressing the growing threat of cyber attacks. We can have that story and then we get back to break it down.
One of the areas to appreciate why cybersecurity is important. So we've moved away from the times when communications was just talking. Now it's ICTs powering everything across the economy. All of us are familiar with digital financial services, especially mobile money. And we see that if fraud increases, then people fear to use these services. So trust and confidence in these services is very important. We see countries are now fighting each other, not using guns, but using cyberspace. It is therefore important that we come up with mechanisms to always address. This is a very evolving industry. So we've come from when we used to talk about virus attacks, denial of service attacks. Every time as the industry develops, we have the cyberspace also evolving in terms of the kind of threats that we deal with. So our people come together and discuss what are the new emergent threats, what do they need to do, and how do they learn from what each other is doing.
Well, that's the ED of Uganda Communications Commission. UCC Uganda is now hosting delegates from within Africa and outside Africa, and they are equipping those members on how to go about cyber attacks. Cyber attacks, as the country goes digital, it comes with such issues of cyber attacks. Now, especially to do with in the financial area, Ugandans are being cheated their money. Someone calls you and then
it's we have seen it, and I like the fact that it is happening at the wake of the digital financial inclusion that has taken shape. It should be noted that in 2011 or 2012 or so, Uganda only had about 3.5 million bank accounts, but now there are over 20 million bank accounts. It's good, of course, in the world of empowerment and investment, but what does it mean in regards to cybersecurity and the safety of the consumers? Because technology can be swamped anytime. Anyone can hack into something and you lose your money. I mean, we've recently seen on social media stories and stories. So as we champion digital financial inclusion, we need to be aware, and I like that this is happening, especially perhaps we could borrow the expertise and the knowledge from those international delegation on what they have been able to incorporate in their countries in regards to their financial ecosystem, so that we can borrow knowledge and help us in our own ecosystem here.
Yeah, what they are doing is they are all sharing ideas. Uganda could be having ideas. South Sudan could be having ideas. Outside Africa, they are sharing knowledge on how to go about these cyber attacks, and then they are looking at those new cyber techniques, like the cyber attacks. These you know, the more we innovate technologically, is the more those guys also.
The more we are at risk.
Exactly.
So an infrastructure has to be put in place to favor the environment, because we would want to maintain the pace we are at, especially with the benefits that digital financial inclusion brings. But Hanif, I think we've come to the end of business today. And to you that has tuned in and joined us for this particular show, I'd like to thank you for your time. I mean, for the pleasure of your time. You've been such a good audience. And I'd like to implore you to just tune in again the same time on Wednesday and Friday, so that we can bring you more and more stories. And you could also just give us, what you think we could, you would like us to talk about, and just share your opinion on our social media platforms, on Smart 24 TV, on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, where we stream. So thank you so much for having joined us today. And as always, I'm Rana Habwe. Good evening.